Carolyn Dube here. What's the play for today? Well, this piece of cardboard, that's the play. Now, this may look all happy and jovial, but something happened partway through this. I started to take a risk, and that led to, well, a war and a battle that almost brought the play to a halt. You'll see what I did to keep that from happening in today's video. I'm starting out here on a piece of cardboard. Now, only the finest cardboard for art play, mind you. And what makes something the finest cardboard? It's whatever came in the mail most recently. Whatever box I had around, that's the best stuff to use. Now, the paint that I'm smearing on here, all these vibrant colors, this is Liquitex Acrylic Gouache. Now, I'm going to dip my fingers in a little bit of water here to get the paint to spread a little bit differently. Now, why does that work so well with acrylic gouache? Well, that's because acrylic gouache is like if paint and watercolors had a love child. So if you add some water to the gouache, it'll behave more like a watercolor. And if you use it straight out of the tube, it behaves more like an acrylic paint. But no matter which way you're doing it, once it's dry, it is completely dry. And that's what makes the acrylic gouache different from, say, traditional gouache. That is, once it's dry, it's not going to move around. And that's really handy when you're putting a whole bunch of mixed media layers on something, say like on cardboard. Anything that's within arm's reach is fair game for stuff, including these bottles. Now these bottles, I love the shape of them, not only because of the little nozzle tip, which you'll see me use in a little bit, but also literally the shape of the bottle. I am just twisting the cap here right there in the paint, creating those circles. Now because this stuff does play so nicely with water, by just putting some water on my fingers, any of the damp paint, I can blend it and move it around, again, just with a little touch of that water. If I want really crisp lines for what I'm about to do, I should let everything dry. But nothing about this has really crisp lines, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm taking a stencil here, one that I created for over at StencilGirl called Circular Patterns for Play, and then I'm going to just cosmetic sponge a little bit of that pattern onto the cardboard. One of the nice things about this stencil is it has several different patterns on it, so I'm just going to pick another one from on this one and add it to another area on the cardboard. Once I put a little white on here, I realize I want to outline it, and so having a pen that would work on this would be really awesome, but this is all wet paint. But this is where the bottle itself is so handy. Because it's got this wonderful tip to it, I can basically treat this as if it's a paint pen and I can do more detailed writing type of stuff or finer lines just straight from the tube. So when I'm using the gouache that way, you can easily see what I'm writing or doing. But what I'm doing here with this regular everyday pencil, it's very hard to see what's going on. And that's somewhat intentional. Those are like little secret messages that I've put in there to myself. Now, when you're working on wet paint and you use plenty of paint, meaning you've got a bunch on that cosmetic sponge and you push down really hard, what you get is a really, really mixed media vibe to your stenciling. So that means very imperfect lines as I'm using this Ancient Mariner stencil mask from over at StencilGirl Products. So this is the part of the play where I decided I'm going to live on the edge. Yep, I'm going to push some limits, some things that are outside of my comfort zone that make me go, should I be doing this? Is this really what I should be doing? I've got an old canceled check, this one from 1872, that I'm going to add a little bit of color to here, and I'm going to incorporate it into this piece of cardboard play. Now that supply hoarder that's inside of me is freaking out just a little bit here because, well, my gosh, is this going to be the perfect project for this? Is this the right time to do this? Is this a good idea that I'm going to be using this for? I mean, after all, I am saving it for a really good idea, right? Now, I knew that voice was ridiculous. It's not about saving something for that perfect time. It's about enjoying it, having fun with it, using it. But the fact that those things were running through my head was having a little bit of an influence here. So what's beginning is an argument inside my head, to use it or not use it. Is this a good idea or is this not a good idea? And it starts out as a really sort of friendly discussion. Some voice is saying one thing, another voice is saying another. Sure, you can imagine that angel and devil on my shoulder. But as more and more of the play goes on, it devolves just a little bit here and it becomes less cordial, less polite, and we're moving up to all-out war level here. Part of me wants to just use it and enjoy it, and part of me wants to save it. Don't be wasteful. Oh my gosh, you have to use this for a good idea, not just play. Now, I don't know if you've ever had these kind of battles inside your head when you're trying to make a decision when you're making something, but it was an all-out war, and it was coming pretty close to stopping the play. I mean, it was really getting close, but something happened that kept the play going and got this war to quiet down. I was stenciling a couple of words from my Are We There Yet stencil, and when I lifted it up, I was horrified by what I saw. That was such an ugly thing, such a mistake. But I know when I make a mistake that I don't look at them that way. I see them as an oops, an outstanding opportunity presenting suddenly. But I was in such a grumbly mood because of this battle in my head that when I said oops, it was this sort of angry, frustrated kind of oops. And it's really hard to take myself seriously when I do that. And then I had to laugh at myself for how much I wanted that stenciling to be just crisp and perfect when nothing that I've been doing here has been crisp or perfect. So another reason why I just had to keep laughing at myself. And once I can laugh at myself, the seriousness is gone and the play comes back. Now that the war is over in my head, I get to do things like rip this piece of ephemera, feel that rush, move things around to see different places where I want to put it. Once you bring out the gel medium and you start gluing stuff down, that's a commitment. It's going to be hard to pull this stuff back up, especially something delicate like old ephemera. So this is a commitment. But making commitments like this are so much easier when you're in a playful state of mind as opposed to having some kind of battle in your head like I was earlier about whether or not I was going to be wasting that piece of ephemera. A lot of times when I'm playing in an art journal, on cardboard like this, or really making anything, I get little reminders or messages from my muse. And today it was all about don't take things so seriously. So this called to me for Sigmund and Silas. Now these are two characters that are very vaudevillian. They seem to want to take things seriously, but they look absolutely ridiculous in the process. So they were just what I needed on here. To create the title of A Little Nonsense, which was completely fitting to how this day was going, I took part of a stencil. You see, that's the thing when you have quotes or stencils, you can just use part of it. You don't have to use the whole thing. So it gives you a lot of flexibility for when you're creating. Another thing that'll give you a lot of flexibility is having that playful state of mind. Now, I managed to keep that playful state of mind today by being able to laugh at myself and the crazy stuff I was arguing about in my head. But what if you want to know some other ways that you can keep that playful state? Well, then check out my free workshop called Permission to Play. I've got a link down below for you. To finish this off, I'm going to use a paintbrush, but not the part with the bristles. I'm going to use the end of the paintbrush, and I'm just going to add a little bit of white here and there. Well, thanks so much for joining me for today's play. If you've been enjoying this video, I'd so appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll know as soon as there's a new video out. Thanks so much for letting me be a part of your colorful journey.